All right, well, everyone, this Q&A again. I want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. Question came in. Interesting question. Somebody was told, a JIT, a Jew in training, as we will call them, as I always call them. They were told by someone obviously religious from birth, that they said, basically made a comment and said, thank God, my family's pure all the way back, no converts. No converts in my family. So what was the question? So what's the question? They said, how can someone say that? Like it's a blemish. What are we, second-class citizens? That was the comment. That was the comment. So the answer, short answer, or long, short answer, is that, I don't normally answer questions. Why did someone say this? Why did someone say that? But this is a pretty important question. Pretty important thing somebody says that has to be understood in context. Now, someone who converts, everyone's going to say, aren't they a full-fledged Jew? Answer is yes and no. Why yes and no? See, we love giving half answers, right? Or confusing answers. Why yes and no? Yes, according to the Torah, they're full-fledged Jews, right? The conversion is done right, proper rabbinical court, proper based in, no problem, right? But there are limitations. There are limitations. Someone who joins, there are certain people you're not allowed to marry. Now, Baal Tshuva, someone who returns to Judaism, didn't grow up religious, they're also limited in some ways. A Kohen, right? The question always comes up, why can't I marry a Kohen? Right? Why can't a woman convert marry a Kohen? So Kohen has a special lineage. Even though today, here in Israel, they bless the congregation every day. Outside of Israel, only during the holidays, only during the high holy days, and on Sukkot, Shavuos, and Passover. But, they can't defile themselves in the cemetery. Or in other words, somebody dies that they're obligated to mourn for, they can't go to the cemetery. Or they can't go, close to where the body is. Because they haven't added extra holiness. They're not allowed to make themselves impure, unless there's no one else to bury the person. Okay, that's a different issue. Right? That's a different issue. So today, there are very few things that really single out Kohen, a Kohen, than anyone else. But, so you're going to say, so what's the big deal? So the Torah says the Kohen can only marry certain people. Now, why can't they marry a convert? Why are they not allowed to marry a convert? Because once, and we're going to try and keep this clean, right? We're not living in Victorian England anymore. So a Kohen can only marry somebody, basically never been with anyone else, or anyone that's going to disqualify that person to marry them. So it could be, it could be a secular Jew also becomes religious. Same thing. If they were with somebody they weren't allowed to be with in general, they also couldn't marry them. Because hey, it's not fair, whatever. We live in this world. Right? This is the world we live in. We're not living in Victorian England. So it's a reality. So you're going to say, so what's the big deal? Because the Kohen has a pedigree. He's got a pedigree. A non-Jew, no offense to any non-Jews out there, they don't have the same pedigree. Even if you tell me their soul was on Mount Sinai, when God gave the Torah, then it got messed up, however that works. Right? The soul got messed up. So what happens? So you have intermarriage assimilation. that soul becomes non-Jewish, however that works, Kabbalistically. They have to go through conversion. 100% they have to go through conversion. Now, that being said, so a Kohen has a pedigree. So he can only marry those people that are permissible to marry. And someone that becomes disqualified, he can't marry. He might be a Jew. He won't be allowed to marry. Because the non-Jew doesn't have that pedigree. That's why a mamzer, someone who comes from a forbidden union, doesn't necessarily mean a bastard child, but it means a forbidden union, not just out of wedlock. Two people not allowed to be together. That child can only marry somebody the same union or a convert. So you got to say, come on, is that discrimination? Again, why can't they marry a regular Jew? Because a Jew has a pedigree. This mamzer now has blemished his pedigree. But you tell me a convert after conversion, they have the status of a katan shenola dummy. They have the status of a newborn baby. So everything starts fresh. It's like all their sins are gone. Previous sins, very good. But because they weren't born Jewish and other things happen, they're blemished in a certain way. Even if they have the status as a Jew, there's certain things they can't do. They're limited. Now, person makes it, so now back to the original question. Person makes a statement and says what? That, throughout my family, way back, no converts. Now, you can say a few generations back, what could be the problem? Problem with the conversion. Maybe the conversion wasn't good. Right? Maybe they didn't take on mitzvahs right afterwards. It could be a number of factors. Number of factors that could allow this person not to, be a proper convert, or there's a doubt. Someone's going to say, well, come on, you're talking 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. There's not going to be a question over here. True? Very true. Even so, right? You're talking about that convert. They're kids, born Jewish. They don't have that issue. If that person converted, and then they had a child, that child is 100% a Jew, right? They don't have the status of a convert. Parents are converts, okay? So generations after that shouldn't matter. There shouldn't be, you go back 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. That's not going to be an issue. Not going to be an issue. We're not calling into question the conversion. It's only recent history, but a person's going to say, so what's the big deal? 100 years ago, 500 years ago, you wouldn't call it into question, okay? Right, that may be true, but what's the question over here? Why would somebody say, my guess, take it for what it's worth, why would someone make such a statement? So they make such a statement for a number of reasons. One, they can say, listen, converts giving us a bad name throughout the millennium. No question. They do things more religious than we do, but they made us look bad also by the sin of the golden calf and other things. So they say, we don't want that. It's a good thing I don't have that in my family. Where, we don't have that issue. People in the family could have gone off, and done different things, been heretics. Okay. But they'll say, even so, they don't want this other issue. That might be one issue. Right? What's the second issue? Second issue is someone converts. Oh, what are they saying? Because I've heard some people say, when they're looking for, a shidduch, a match for their kids, they want somebody that the family can go back 3 generations and can say that they kept the laws of family purity laws. So I heard a great rabbi speak on this and basically said that, as English would say, that's rubbish. Doesn't matter. If the person's going in the right direction and the person, even let's say they became religious parents did not keep these laws, which means that their kids could, have bad character traits because, they were born, they were conceived in a way that they shouldn't have been in general. So there are other ramifications. But someone asked the Chazon Ish, famous Chazon Ish, Rav Avram Yishaya Karelitz, a blessed memory, of Torah giants, the last generation, here in Israel, according to everybody. And someone asked the following question. There was a boy who was going to get married. And they mentioned about a girl, someone mentioned about a girl that was Baal Tshuva, became religious. So he asked this question. He told my Rebbe this question. My Rebbe went to the Chazon Ish and asked him, is this a good candidate to get married to or not? So the Chazon Ish said, as long as the person's going in the right direction, they're very religious, ultra religious, they're going in the right direction. What does that mean? He said it means even if there are negative ramifications of being conceived in such a way, the fact that the person's going in the right direction spiritually, that can override it. You don't have anything to worry about. So the Chazon Ish said, yeah, not a problem. Not a problem over here. Person's religion is going in the right direction, not an issue. Some people will still say, not good enough. Not good enough. We want 3 generations. I've heard this. I'm not going to say I haven't heard it. I've heard it. People say, I want 3 generations. That the family has kept the laws of family purity. I heard another great rabbi speak a while ago, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, and say this has nothing to do with anything. It's a stringency upon a stringency upon a stringency. You might say it's true. If they're not conceived in the right way, let's say, even though God allowed it, and there are other spiritual ramifications potentially, person can overcome them. So this is like a stringency based on a stringency based on whatever. And again, some people say, no, that's what I want, and this and that, right? And Chazon Ish said not that way. Others have said not that way. So really, it's not an issue. There's a different issue. There's a different issue. What's the other issue? The other issue would be that the person becomes religious or is a convert. Not everyone's going to want them to marry in their family because there's baggage. They're going to have baggage. I'm not saying, they're mentally unstable. They have other issues. There's baggage. Family issues. Family issues, to deal with. You got to get along with the other side. Yeah, it can be awkward. When kids get married, I'll just throw this out there. Kids get married, if you get along with the other side, it's a blessing. It's not a guarantee. Not a guarantee the families will mesh. Many of my kids got married, the family's totally meshed. That's not a given. So this is a different thing. People say, why would I want that for my kid? Why would I want to start behind the 8 ball? You're going to say, but I'm really religious, I'm doing the right thing. You're right. No one's denying that. But you know what? Family, there are issues. There will be people who marry my family. Okay. They're lost. A friend of mine told me years ago, we'll marry into families like us. True. And 4 of my kids married in families, similar to mine, different ways. Very, very similar. Okay. You have to worry about the stigma, what you do when you were younger, this, that. Not worried about that. We don't worry about the character traits of the people. What they do? The other things are extraneous. Like you'll get into another family. You'd be surprised some of the questions sometimes people ask. They really use plastic silverware on Shabbos? They use a plastic to cover the table? Like that really matters. Like that's like so important. It's like a side effect. Okay, so you use plastic sometimes. So that disqualifies you. I can understand they say, oh, what are the parents like? What's the family like? What are the siblings like? Okay. You got to see. I see what's going on, what the dynamics are. Can't know everything, but people do not necessarily want to start up with other people if there are issues. Let's say they're medical issues. Someone really want at the outset, a match, someone's got medical issues? Probably not. We made a match with someone, and this good friend of mine's son has Crohn's disease. Yeah. So you don't mention that at the beginning, see if they like each other, whatever. And then, after, let's say, the third date, probably fourth date, they mention it. So the parents on the other side, spoke to the doctor, there's, different things, to see. To see really what's going on. It's under control, etc. These are things, okay. I think God forbid someone had cancer. Yeah, they're in remission. Yeah, you speak to the doctor, speak to the oncologist, what's really going on. But think about it. Someone sets up their child or even themselves. Do you really want that at the beginning? That there are medical issues? Probably not. Probably not a good start, I would think. That doesn't disqualify. I'm just pointing out could be a deterrent. We have to start off. One of my kids, it didn't go through. Someone, is a great guy, and he's got, what do you call it? He's got a pump for diabetes. Under control, no issues. No issues with that. So to speak. But, what do you have? Totally under control, no other issues. Not so simple, in general. Anyway, it didn't go through for other reasons, but, a person has to think. Is that good? It's not good. Doesn't matter. But these other things, people say, oh, you work with converts, so nice. Wow, so inspirational. You must have great stories, different things. I said, yeah. I said, got someone looking for a shidduch for a match. Any of your kids available? Oh no, I didn't say I was that impressed. I didn't say I was that interested. So some people may say, I'm not saying it's right. I want people to understand. Some people would say, oh, that's beautiful. It's a blemish though. They look at it as a blemish. Now, is it really a blemish? Do people not get married? Not saying they don't. Are there going to be issues? Probably. Probably will be issues. There may be discrimination. I'm not saying it's right. Definitely not saying it's right. Someone who wants to convert, they're Hispanic, they're colored. Are there going to be biases? Could be. Could very well be. The person has to understand. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying we advocate it. It can happen. Right? So people say, okay, there are Jews and Judaism. Mix the two. Because people say things doesn't mean it's right by any stretch, but people have to be aware. People have to be aware there's reality. Nissim Black, anyone knows Nissim Black's famous rapper who converted as to be a person of color. He used to have, a lot of people, I think he still does, a lot of people for Shabbos, a lot of guests, different things. Couldn't get his kids into school. Could not get his kids into school. He had to move to a different community to do it. He did. See, he didn't ask me. If he would have asked me, I would have told him he's better off in America. It's harder here. Especially with person of color. I'm not saying they can't come. There's just, it's harder. If he would have gone to Lakewood, New Jersey, I would have told him no. I would have said the same thing. As Americans, they're more welcoming. That's why I tell people, stay out of town. Meaning out of New York and New Jersey, in most places. Go to St. Louis, even though it's a smaller community. Chicago, it's got its own issues, crime-wise and other things. You got Atlanta, you got Baltimore, Norfolk's got a community, Norfolk, Virginia, Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale has, bigger communities, Dallas, Houston, Denver, places in California, places that are user-friendly, not just black and white. Because a place that's only black and white, person has to realize you got to dress the part, look the part, and that's it. And if you don't, you get spit out. In Israel, it's 10 times worse. Similar, in certain places in America also. But here's worse. So someone wants to come and they say, I don't care, it's what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. It's their choice. 100%. It's their choice. But they make a decision. If they would ask me, I would say no. I said, you're better off not being here. People will say, come on, don't you hold, it's the strongest Jewish community in the world? Yes. Best place to be spiritually? Yes. It's harder in other ways. And if you don't fit in, you look a little bit different, it's going to be much harder. It's going to be much, much harder. Right? That a person has to realize. Now, someone says, I don't care, it's what I want to do. Okay. Had somebody want to do that, end of a story, they came, had a lot of difficulty. And the person told me, said, why? He told me it's going to be hard. He told me it's going to be this hard. I said, of course I did. I said, I cursed you in 3 languages. I mean, Tappy's here. A lot of problems. Had a lot of issues. He's still very glad he's here. Okay. Right. But there's a price. And if a person doesn't have really, really broad shoulders, then, you got to be like the Rock of Gibraltar. If not, you won't survive. You will not survive this process. It's hard. It can grind on you. It can beat you down. Even if you're Caucasian, doesn't matter. You look a little bit different, this, that. People stare. People may say things. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I want people to understand, for better or for worse, this can be the reality. Right? That's my job. Got to point these things out. Right? So, when a person looks at these things, and I've heard people say, it's not fair. I'm just as good. I keep Torah mitzvahs better than a lot of Jews. True. That might be true. But you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. Because, who are we comparing ourselves to? 90% of world Jewry that can't say Kriya Shema, they can't say Shema. They don't know the Aleph base. If the person say, wow, this person's so righteous this generation. Who's this generation? I mean, we got great people. I'm not saying not. Who are we comparing to? Sodom? You think, look, I'm doing so much better than Sodom. Thank you very much. Doing much better on those gays in Tel Aviv. Okay, so what does that have to do with anything? I don't have anything to do with anything. Bottom line is, we have to be the best Jews or JITs, Jews in training that we can be. That's what we have to do. Bali Tshuva, we have to be the best we can be. That's what God wants. That's the test. Someone comes into this process, added test. Huge. Right, about Tshuva, it's a little bit easier. I mean, family-wise, they can have problems just like non-Jews, just like potential converts, right? But at the end of the day, I also have a lot of challenges. There's no question. And a person can say, what? I chose this lifestyle, gave up family, friends, this, that, and this is how I'm treated. I've heard it. Some people have better experiences, some people have worse experiences. But at the end of the day, it can make you think. Why did I turn over the world to do this? Not accepted anyway. I'm going to be looked at as a second-class citizen. Okay? That might be true. I'm not saying it's right. Not saying it's right at all. But it happens. It happens. So the most important thing, Kaufman would say, first of all, you got to be like strong as fire. That's the first thing. You have to not care what people are going to say or how they might stare. And the third thing is most important, I would say more than anything else. And when a person's feeling down in the dumps and it's so hard and this and that, you need someone to speak to. You need a mentor, you need a rabbi, somebody to give you strength. Why is this happening? Why is it going on? That's how you survive the process. This is the purpose of what we do over here. That's how you survive getting strength, understanding what's going on. And sometimes it's hard. A person can hear the truth and it hits them right here, right between the eyes. And sometimes it's downright depressing. I agree. No, I'm not going to say no. 100%. But you know what? At the end of the day, I used to sit in the rabbinical court. My Rebbe, probably the most powerful rabbinical court in the world. I used to sit with him once a week for 5 years. I saw people come in, big hats, long coats, this, that, liars, cheaters, thieves. People admitting they were lying, different things. So my Rebbe would say, it's a good thing you have a connection to me. Otherwise, you consider why'd you become religious in the first place. You see people like that. But what's the answer? Everyone's going to tell me. Everyone's going to tell me the same answer. You got bad people. Okay. What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with what I do? Yeah, so I heard someone tell me this a while ago. I've heard a number of people, sorry. I want to single out one person. I've heard a number of people tell me this, why would I want to convert? Look what certain Orthodox Jews do. Might be pedophiles, other things, commit fraud or worse. They say, how can I want to convert if there are people that are sick mentally and do other things? It's a good question. What's the easy answer? What's the easy answer? The easy answer is, just because these people do whatever they do, I'm not saying it's right, but whatever they do, even if it's wrong or deviant or downright evil, what does it have to do with whether a person's going to pray the next day or put on tefillin or eat matzah or anything else? What does that have to do with anything? They have to answer themselves, period. It's not about, they did this, they did that. Why would I want to become Jewish? That's not the question. The question if someone wants to be Jewish or not, that's their choice. They make that choice. I'm not convincing anyone either way. That's their choice. They want to be that way. They want to stay in Ohio. That's 100% their choice. But at the end of the day, because other people, other Jews do certain things that should have no effect on what a person does. But you can say it's hard. Look, this is terrible. You're right. You're right. It very well may be. Right? And you could have other Orthodox Jews doing terrible things. Okay? I mentioned this before. A lot, many times. What does it have to do with the fact whether you're going to pray or not? You're going to eat matzah or anything else. You have to answer for yourself, not for them. They have to answer for themselves. It had nothing to do with what they do. It has to do with your own relationship to God. Period. That's what it has to do with. It's not called pass the buck. I don't care either way. The Jewish people, I'll represent the Jewish people here, and I'll say the entire Jewish nation does not care if anybody lives here or not converts. We don't care. But what's the bottom line? See, now be nice. What's the bottom line? If someone wants to, they want to go in the right path, okay. There's an obligation to help them, right? There's definitely an obligation to help them. So that being the case, a person has to understand whatever they go through, whatever happens, guess what? You got to take your own responsibility. It cannot be pass the buck. I heard the secular Jew once say, this person did this other Orthodox Jews did this, and this person did that. I don't do that. That means I don't have to be religious. Rubbish! What does that have to do with anything? The fact is, whatever they do, they have to answer for. What does it have to do with you? Just because you don't do it and they do it, that doesn't make you Mother Teresa. Doesn't make you anything. We cannot pass the buck. We have to take responsibility. Now, there's a whole other issue I'm not going to get into. I see a bunch of questions here. We're going to deal with it. But there's another issue. Someone can say, well, this person did this, did that. I'm done. I'm not going to have anything to do with Judaism. Now, it could be a terrible thing. So we can't judge somebody unless we've been in their shoes. At the same time, even if things happen, a person says, I'm angry at God. This is what happened. I heard someone tell me this when I was in America. I'm angry because of the Holocaust. Look at all these people that got killed in my family. Okay, I didn't answer that. Nothing to answer with a statement, with an agenda. And I'm angry at God for this and that. So one thing I did say, but there's a lot of good. We don't understand why things happen. I didn't go through the whole thing of what your soul has to go through and the evil inclination, and forget that. My quick answer was, there's a lot of good also. But a person can be stuck on that and say, well, that's bad. You're a fanatic. Okay? Like someone once told me that when I went to Cheder, I went to Jewish school, and my Rebbe hit me, and that's what Judaism is. Sounded like a broken record. Kept saying it over and over because I kept telling him, but who says that's what Judaism is? Maybe your Rebbe had a bad day, right? As the example we always give, right? Rabbi Wan once said he should be well. Imagine a person, 10 years old, 11 years old, right? In school had a bad teacher. And he says, that's it, everyone agrees. He had a bad teacher or she had a bad teacher. Kid will go through therapy, move on. Everyone will agree. Hopefully it won't, cause damage for life. So what's this kid going to say? He says, no, I'm done. I'm done with education. We don't need, right? I'm done with education. I'm going to go out and get a job. Never happened. Never happened. At least in those circumstances. Why not? Because the 10-year-old kid's not going to go in the street and work. In general. At least not in the States. Right? Maybe other places. But, that's not going to happen. But why does the person keep saying over and over, that's what Judaism is? Because it's a block. It's an excuse. Not interested in an answer. I said, maybe you had a bad teacher. No, this is what happened. It's like a broken record. I said, yeah, that happened 70 years ago at the time. That's not what Judaism is. Sometimes today, I'm not saying it's right either. And people will take this person to task. A Rebbe hits a kid, smacks him. Parents are going to be there, saying, get rid of this guy. Can't hit people. Right? Hitting today doesn't work. So, you can't let that behavior go. But you go, oh, that's what Judaism is. No, that's not what Judaism is. That's not what it is. Can it have a negative effect? Yeah. Can it have a really detrimental effect? Yes. But the kid's going to have to say at the end of the day, even if they go off, they have to answer. That Rebbe who caused them to go off he's gonna pay a serious price also. But see, we can't judge that. Very hard to judge that. But however God's gonna look at it, the person's gonna have to answer. He's gonna say, after 120 years, God say, didn't you learn my Torah? Didn't you learn my Torah? Said, I would have learned your Torah. I get hit by the Rebbe and got beaten up and this and that. I didn't want to have anything to do with Judaism. He said, yeah, but why wasn't that a test? Why didn't you get a test? You failed the test over here. God could say. You're going to say it was a test I couldn't withstand. But God's like, let me show you. Let me show you what you could have been. Right? That's going to be what part of Gehenna is, what part of hell is. That second movie of what your potential could have been. It's going to be embarrassing for everybody. Imagine what our potential really could be. We don't know what our potential is. So a person's going to see a whole different life they could have had. You're going to say, it's not my fault. Look what happened. Well, again, God could have mercy and say, okay, I'll take off. Because you weren't here, imagine, someone has to take a test. They weren't there for, 40% of the classes. Right? So it's fine. You didn't do so well. I'll take off 20%. So instead of getting a 60, I'll give you an 80. Okay. At least you got an 80. So God can say, okay, I'll cut you a little bit of slack. I'll take off 15%. What about the other 85% you spit in my face? I'm saying that's potentially what God could say. He might have total mercy and say, okay, I'm going to, maybe I'll give you a free pass. I tend to doubt it. Right? But we have to answer up. We have to, what's the word? We have to man up over here. We can't be cream puffs. We have to realize things happen that are hard. They're hard to deal with. Person has a lot of money. Let's say they change their lives, they lose it, it gets stolen, this, that. They have all kinds of other issues. Health issues, livelihood issues, family issues, everything put together. What happens? Wow, God comes to him in a dream and says, hey, what do you think of my covenant? So glad you returned. What do you think of my covenant? a covenant. Can I have more pain? Be like the Christians, turn the other cheek so you get smacked. You'll say that changed my life. This is what I get. Converts have it, I think, harder in many ways, or harder, as we would say in Boston, right? I think they have more difficult. I think Bali Jew are far behind. They also have it hard. You can say, wow, what a covenant. So what does Kaufman always say? Go back to Abraham. Look at all the tests he went through. Look at King David. Look at all the tests that he went through. And they struggled, in different ways. But look who they became. Look who they became. They can say, but I'm not Abraham. Right? I'm not Abraham. I'm not King David. But they gave us the ability to fight against the world. Right? Abraham came to the world and went through so many things. Gave us the ability to be able to go through trials and tribulations. That's what he did. Unbelievable. And that helps us gain and grow, even though it's hard. Yeah, a lot of questions here. Someone asks, one second. Someone asks, I'm not laughing at that, I was laughing at something else. Don't think I'm laughing at your question. I never understood why anyone would want to marry Kohen. They're like a thing, like an award or a trophy. People think the rationale is that people think, okay, Kohanim are on a much higher level because they are chosen by God to lead the Jewish people, give all the sacrifices. They were all the Torah leaders, right? Teaching Torah, etc. So people think that, so they're on such a high level. So why not, have the utmost respect for a Kohen and marry them? But people get hung up on this. There are plenty of Kohanim out there, bad people. I'm not saying all of them, I'm not saying half of them, I'm saying there are Kohanim that are bad. Right? They can say they have a higher pedigree than anyone else. You know why? They have a higher pedigree than me. I'm just a regular Yisrael. Right? I'm not from the tribe of Levi. Okay. So they can have they have a higher pedigree. It's true. Because God singled them out. Okay. So that's why people say, well, if we're going to marry someone, let me marry someone at the top, the highest pedigree. That's the mentality. It's not just, you might call it like a trophy, but it's more than a trophy. Right? In other words, a person saying, I want to be attached to the one that's closest to God that God chose among his people that are the greatest among his people. That's the idea. So therefore, they have greater responsibility. They have a greater pedigree. They have to be more careful who they're going to marry. So a person's going to say, somebody like that, that would be my ideal. That's someone I want to marry. That's the idea. That I'm not saying, I'm not saying more than that, but that's why some people may say, I want to do that. But it comes, I don't think the question comes up because, it's about marrying someone like a trophy or anything else. I think it comes up because they hear this and say, why can't I marry a Kohen? Not just, I should marry a Kohen. That's the ideal. That's what we should do. They're in the highest level, so I want to be at the top. No, I don't think that's the case. I think the case, it's just the opposite. And the case is, why can't I marry somebody like that? Why am I blemished? Why am I being looked at? That's what we started with. Why am I looked at as like a second-class citizen? That's the question. Not just, I want to marry them because they're not, they have a higher pedigree. Or people say, I want to marry a rabbi, a rabbinic scholar, and this, okay, they're ideals. I get it. I definitely get it. Right. But I think the question over here is not just, it's a higher pedigree and it's like having a trophy or something like that. I think the idea is, why couldn't I? Why am I not good enough? That's the question. Right. In other words, I work on my midos, I work on my character traits. I keep Shabbos, I keep kashrus, I keep all these things. I work very hard, I'm very modest, this and that. I'm just as good as any Jew. That's the question. And if I'm just as good as any Jew, and I'm a Jew myself, why can't I marry them? Not the idea, it's marrying someone's like having a trophy. No. It's about, why can't I? Right? In other words, why am I not good enough? Why am I considered blemish? right? It's a Bali Tshuva, same thing. A woman who's a Bali Tshuva. She's been with somebody she's not allowed to be with, right? She's also blemished in that sense. It's also blemished. They might have repented. They may be at a very high spiritual level. Okay. Not going to deny that either way. But at the end of the day, they can't marry them. They won't be allowed to marry them. So the point is that it's about why they can't. And they feel, if I'm a full-fledged Jew, I should be able to. Okay, there's an issue. That's exactly the issue. Not just, I want to marry someone with the highest ideal, this, that. No. It's because why can't I? I think that's the question. Someone says cemetery rule. Yeah, a Kohen, someone who's a Kohen, cannot go within 4 arm lengths of a grave. Right? In other words, if you walk in a cemetery and you're close to where the grave is, you can't be there. You're impure. So there are certain places that kohanim, that priests can go where they don't come in contact with the dead body. Right? If they walk in a synagogue, let's say, where the dead body is, they can't be there. The reason is, and again, we're all in the state of impurity anyway, but if this dead body makes the whole synagogue impure, right? I guess the whole thing, if the windows are open or whatever the case is, right? But it can make the whole place impure. So since we're in a state of impurity, if everybody else, Yisrael, come to contact with dead body, what do? You wash your hands. Come out of the cemetery, you wash your hands. Going to the mikveh doesn't help. Going to the mikveh does not take down that impurity, that level of impurity. Okay, so now a Kohen, Torah says he can't defile himself. Even for a mother, father, sister, brother, God forbid, a child or a spouse that dies, cannot defile himself. If there's no one else to do the burial, okay, right? But he can't go. He shouldn't be allowed to go. Why? He's got a higher level of holiness. Since there's no way to make him pure, so to speak, even though there's no temple today, he can't serve, regardless what happens. What happens is he goes, makes himself impure. You don't add impurity to impurity here. For a regular Yisrael, okay, no big deal. We're already impure. That's it. So you say, but a Kohen's also in a state of impurity. True. So going to the mikveh is not going to help him also. True. What's the problem? He cannot make himself more impure. He's not allowed to make himself more impure. For regular Yisrael, it doesn't matter. Right? It's a distinction between Yisrael and the Kohen. So a Kohen, there are probably, certain places in a cemetery they could stand where they're not coming in contact with dead bodies. There probably are certain places. Most places in and around the cemetery, they can't go. They can't go. That's why it's better they don't go at all. I know in Israel, a certain place, probably a lot of places like this, they have a certain path the Kohen can walk and stand. That's it. It's like a handful of places, and that's it. Can't go anywhere else. So going to a synagogue or something like that's a problem. That would certainly be a problem. If it's already outside, so it's a different issue, right? But that's the general rule. Somebody asks, person is eating a meal requires 2 blessings. Okay, they're eating chicken noodle soup. You say 2 different blessings, or is it 1 blessing, mazonos and charcoal? Good question. If they're eating chicken noodle soup, probably should make 1 blessing. And the blessing should be mazonos. If you were eating, and the vegetables are probably there to enhance the noodles, so you would make a blessing on the noodles. And the soup is probably also nullified to the noodles. If a person was eating chicken noodle soup, that might be a different issue. Why? Because chicken now is an important element here. Right? So it could be you have to make 2 blessings. You make a mazonos on the noodles. You make a shahako on the chicken. And the vegetables in the soup will be covered by the blessing of mazonos and shahako. Same thing by matzah ball. Matzah ball is a little bit different in the sense because they're not necessarily cooked together. Right? They're cooked separately and then they're added. So some people would say, if you're not eating bread, that if you want to get out of the problem altogether, then what you should do is take the matzo ball, and anytime you have soup or vegetables, have that matzo ball, have some of that matzo ball with it. Then you don't have a problem at all. Right? The question is, if you finish the matzo ball and there's still soup or whatever, that might be an issue. Right? That might be an issue. So if there's chicken in there, you can make two blessings. Make a mazonos on the matzo ball, shako on the chicken, and that covers the vegetables. Or if you have chicken vegetable soup and you have big, chunks of vegetables there. So really you make one blessing. You make the blessing over the chicken. I had this argument with my Rebbe once. I said, but they're big vegetables there. He says, yeah. He says the vegetables are subordinate to the chicken. So therefore you make a blessing over the chicken, not the vegetables. So I asked the question again. And I said, but you got big chunks there. And his answer was, you want to make a blessing in vain? That's your choice. I'm telling you it's a blessing in vain. So they have chicken and vegetables. You make a blessing over the chicken. That's it. No matter how big the vegetables are, because the vegetables there are there to enhance. Somebody mentions people searching for issues. Yeah, they're going to be looking for them. That's the wicked son. You don't give him an answer because he's got an agenda. Someone who's got an agenda, you don't answer them. There's no answer for someone who's got it's got an agenda. Someone that points out God's in control. Yeah, God's in control regarding health and so on. You're right. You're right. When I mentioned about shidduchim, someone being sick or whatever, or have some ailment, whatever it is, that a person has to realize, you're right, God is in control. God is in control. The question is, even if you believe God is in control, the question is, should a person even want to start up with it? You think God is in control, you're right. No one's denying that. The question is that something a person should choose anyway, at the outset? That's the question. Somebody asks that you got an update from an Orthodox rabbi, very interesting. Went into the Vatican vault. Okay. They went into the Vatican vault. And they saw contents which were within the second temple. Yeah, it would seem pretty clear, I think, from there's a Gemaras and Gittin speak about the structure of the temple that say that, a lot of the contents of the temple itself were taken to Rome. Anyone who's ever been to Rome, see the Arch of Titus, right? You see, this big arch of him seemingly having the temples, the vessels of the temple. I remember when I got married, I went on a tour, a bunch of countries in Europe. We started out in Italy, in Rome. So we're being told about this statue, etc. And it's very funny that the tour guides, talking about this is, we're the Romans today, we're the Greeks today, and we're still here, even though they destroyed the temple. Everyone started singing, Am Yisrael Chai, the middle of Rome, the Jewish people live, Am Yisrael Chai, right? Saying, Am Yisrael Chai, we're still gonna live, we're still here. It's very funny, in different ways. So I've heard Rev Beryl Wine say this. It should be well. That the Vatican, is always going to claim, we don't have the vessels. We don't have the vessels of the temple. Some say, a lot of the vessels of the temple are buried in the land of Israel somewhere. It's one person every generation who knows, where they lie, et cetera. So when the Messiah comes, be able to dig them up, reuse them, whatever the case is. But Beryl Wine once said, imagine, before Passover, you do spring cleaning. So he says, I bet at the Vatican, bunch of rooms down in the basement, they did some spring cleaning. Guess what they'll find? Yeah, probably very true. It's been verified by more, I've heard, people 100 years ago, more that went there, that went there and supposedly saw as well. That's not, that's not surprising. Definitely not surprising. The person asks, what are the ramifications? What are going to be ramifications? you think you think the entire Jewish world, if that would be true, and there's evidence, the guy's got pictures, let's say, the entire Jewish world is in an uproar that they belong to us. You think the Vatican's going to give them back? I'm not convinced the Vatican will give it back. Right? Might say we're going to put a lot of pressure on them. This, okay, maybe. I'm not really convinced they give it back. Maybe they'll feel bad and they will. I don't know. But I don't believe they'll give it back. Definitely don't believe they'll give it back. But again, I could be wrong. You're going to put a lot of pressure on the Vatican. You think the Vatican's going to care? I don't think the Vatican's going to care. Definitely don't think the Vatican's going to care. Can a Kohen visit an OL? I think an OL is problematic also. What would be the difference? It's some say maybe if it's over the body, that would be okay. If it's over the body, so there'd be an issue. There would be an issue, with that, because the OL itself, again, it houses the body. It's on top of the body, right? So, that being said, that'd be a problem, right? In other words, even if let's say, they built something over the grave, per se. The question is, if there's a fence, let's say it's 35 inches high or 10 tefachim, right? That's equivalent. That separates any grave from the pathway. Let's say there's a separation of at least 35 inches. There are no trees that hang over because that's going to bring the impurity up. Then that should be all right. Right? But, but a Kohen should not go in. Right? They definitely shouldn't, they shouldn't go in. Someone mentions that the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, set up a way allows kohanim to access it through a special path. That there are dividers of 10 tefachim or 35 inches on each side, but going past that be forbidden. And the reason is it's unroofed, surrounded by a short wall, so that would allow them to stand anywhere. So if there's an opening and there are ways to do it. At the end of the day, also it depends where, right? There's a question here about, let's say, going to the cave of the patriarchs, right? Can a Kohen, go to the cave of the patriarchs? Let's say, going there, that they would be allowed to visit burial sites. Others are stringent. Let's say they shouldn't. Because some say it states that the burial place of Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov are marked, so therefore they shouldn't go in. Also, Kevarachel, the burial place of Rachel, which is actually not far from where I live. Many say you shouldn't go in. Some are lenient as well. Again, so whatever, difference of opinion there. Some say also going to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, burial place of Rabbi Shimon ben Bar Yochai on Meron, or in Meron. Shouldn't go in where he's buried, where it is. And also going up the mountain, there is a special path for kohanim, but you can't go in. Right? So again, some are going to be lenient as well. So yeah, in many cases it should be forbidden in general, but again, depending on how it's set up, maybe there'll be those that are lenient. It depends how it's set up, but in general, if they're places they can walk, like we said, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or in other cases that'd be all right, right? But they're only allowed to go to certain places. So again, it has to be seen, how it's set up, how exactly it is, how it's set up. Somebody mentioned that Rabbi Singer has to walk in a bridge type of wall. Yeah, that could be, right? So that could be for that reason, right? Because he is a Kohen. So that I hear. Somebody points out, it was pretty disgusting to see prior Pope allowed to sit in Moses' seat years ago. Yeah. A lot of things that are bad. That's definitely true. Someone has a depiction of the menorah on the Arch of Titus accurate. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see here. 1 second. Let me see here. Let's say the menorah was supported by a tripod base. That one springs most naturally in our minds because we look at a menorah, let's say the broad, solid base, like the one that appears in the official seal of the state of Israel. Now what's the style? Where'd they get it from? Where's the source? The Arch of Titus. Yeah, there's a lot of meticulous relief of the spoils of Jerusalem's temple. True. And Moses says, but the base of the Titus's menorah, it says, that is not a tripod, but a two-tiered hexagonal structure. So some say there are many factors here. Just we'll go through this a little bit. In the picture of Titus's ark, first of all, Rome, their arches are designed as historical documents. They want to be as accurate as possible. So almost all the details in the sculpture's intimate knowledge of the temple vessels. Okay, so it goes according to what the Bible says, what the Torah says. And also the proportions with its oversized bases are, in such blatant conflict with classical notion of aesthetic form. Yeah, in other words, the way it's built seems to be built in a way that goes exactly like, what the Torah says, totally, against what modern sculptures might, do. That, would make such an oversized base, etc. So a little question over here also, ornamental design that appear in this menorah. But you can see figures of eagles, fish, tailed sea serpents, dragons, etc. Eagles known for the Roman sovereignty, dragons, decorative motif in Roman arts, so to speak. But definitely different. Titus's candelabrum and the pagan counterparts. There's a counterpart, as we would say. Whatever, a lot of differences. So whatever, it seems to be similar, yeah. Right, from what I see over here, definitely seems to be similar. To what the menorah was. So my answer would be, it seems that it is it would seem that it's it's accurate. It's pretty accurate. Someone mentions, the Vatican will give it back by force. Maybe, if they're forced, maybe. They could be stubborn though. I could see them definitely being stubborn, saying, no, we're not giving it back. I'll give a modern day example. I mean, this is not actually this proves my case, but the Jews, had so many problems in Russia, in general. There are thousands and thousands, manuscripts and books from, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's father-in-law, and previous, Lubavitcher Rebbe's, etc. They've been fighting to get these books out of Moscow. I think out of Moscow, wherever they are in Russia for a long time. I don't know if it's fully resolved. That they got. I don't know. I don't think they got all of them. Definitely don't. They might have got some of them. Finally, might have got. This took years. Took many years. To do. Now you could say they put enough pressure. Okay, maybe. I'm not going to change my mind here, but it could be if they put enough pressure, maybe. But the Vatican's a different piece. Are the temple items that Rome took considered unclean? No. Could be reused, could be resanctified, I think. Just because they touch them doesn't mean, it could be they're going to rebuild new ones. They're going to make new vessels, also. Yeah, we're in a state of impurity, right? But if they, again, if they're resanctified, maybe, a different state of purity. So it could be reused. Maybe. Yeah, any other... Let me see. Any other questions? Temple Mount is a state of impurity, right? No Jews should go up on the Temple Mount. There are people that'll say we're allowed to, and we should to show we own it, and it belongs to us. But yeah, big problem for Jews to go up there. Even if everywhere to stand, it's not a problem of standing near the Holy of Holies, you get spiritually cut off, not worth the risk. 100% not worth the risk. Most other Orthodox rabbis say 100% forbidden. 100% forbidden to go in the Temple Mount. And not only that, and I've spoken about this before, the main problem, besides the impurity, is the fact the Arabs will consider it an act of war against their religion, and they'll do whatever it takes to fight to the death. Because you're going against their religion. They know it's a bunch of bunk, and they know the Temple Mount belongs to us and all that. Okay, but you're going to put people's lives in danger because of it, right? So that, and there's some people say we have a right to. We have a right to go up there, no question about it. So yeah, but that's causing people potentially to die. So, when Sharon went up there, many years ago, right after Rosh Hashanah, caused the second Intifada. Even if it's based on a lie, it doesn't matter. Fact is, they believe, it's a fight against religion. And when you fight against religion, they'll do it to the death, 100%. Right? So we shouldn't go up there for that reason. But they need to see it belongs to us. We mentioned many times, you don't start up. There's no reason to start up with them. There's no reason. It belongs to us. We agree. They know it. So I have to stick it in their face? No, definitely not. And it could 100% cause danger. It causes danger to the Jewish people. So we're not interested. Even if we believe it belongs to us, so what? That doesn't really matter. Right? We don't need to make provocations. That we don't need to do. So yeah, you're right. Temple Mount is in a state of impurity. Yeah. So Jews shouldn't go up there. Right? A person comes to Israel, they're not Jewish. Go up there. Not a problem. Not a problem. When you're Jewish, you won't be able to do it. Someone asked, you think Hashem uses Arabs to keep people from impurity? I still, even if it belonged to us, meaning if Jews had sovereignty over it, would more Jews want to go up there? Could be. Could be. So yeah, in a certain way, maybe it's a deterrent because you can't go up there anyway, political reasons. Right? The Arabs, the police won't let you go up there. Right? So yeah, maybe in a certain way. Maybe in a certain way. God, obviously has the Arabs to go against us, to fight against us, to wake us up as well. So yeah, they're being used for good measure. They could be being used also, for what's going to be at the end of days. This war of Gog and Magog, if there's going to be a war. The fight between the Malbim says in Zechariah chapter 14, the fight between Gog and Magog, i.e. Edom, the Western world, against Yishmael, which looks exactly what's going to happen. But nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. So they could be being set up for that, as well. But yeah, that's what I would say on that. Someone asks, isn't it permissible to the steps where the arches are? Depends how it's set up. Not every ohel is set up the same way. So if there are steps going up and there are fences on either side, yeah, so then you could probably stand there, right? But not every place necessarily set up the same. Others don't mention a religious connection between the Kohen and the land of Israel. I think Jerusalem is like the third most important place, according to the Kohen, in Israel. That or Jerusalem not even mentioned. I think that yeah, it might be, but they make their claim. They make their claim based on a lie. True. That's very true. So even again, so why are they fighting so hard anytime Jews go up there? They think it belongs to them. You're gonna tell me, but it doesn't mention it there. And whatever, and they're just making it up. You're right. So does that make any sense? No. Why do they fight so strong if if it's not an important place to them? Good point. Very, very good point. Ask them. You got to ask them. If it's not mentioned in the Quran, go ask a Muslim. Not mentioned in the Quran at all. So why do you guys care? Why do you guys care about it? Why don't you want Jews going up there? Because let's say it's part of our religion. Where does it say that? Someone mentioned today certain things. It says, well, this text doesn't say it. It doesn't say anywhere. So why are you making such a claim? Gee, it's a good question. But people make claims on things that are false. Things are totally false. Come on, anyone came out of Christianity, they know that. They make all these claims, all false. Based on zero, based on mistranslations, based on all kinds of things. So, that's not surprising. Not surprising the Quran does it. Not surprising, the New Testament does it. Right? New Testament does it all over the place. Not only that, they don't care about historical inaccuracies. They don't care about genealogy. They don't care about mistranslations. Doesn't matter to them. The whole thing is a bunch of malarkey. Right? The whole thing doesn't make sense. Okay? I'll Temple Mount to be built again if we're not allowed to go up with them. Oh, that's a different issue. It's going to be a whole new state of purity. Right? It's going to be a whole new state of purity when the Messiah comes. Right? So that state of impurity is going to be lifted. Right? That's totally going to be lifted. So that's not going to be an issue. As my Rebbe wanted to do, but who's going to know all these laws of purity and impurity, to be able to know what we're supposed to do and not to do? I said, we're going to have to be like, taking a snorkel, be in the mikveh for like a month. It's like, no, there'll be people that'll know, that'll be able to give answers, on this topic. So, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it'll be done a proper way. Someone asked, how much does conversion cost in Eretz Yisrael? I heard it's 10 grand. Some places maybe might cost $10,000 in America. I heard of a place. Someone told me there's a place actually a rabbinical court recognized by the chief rabbinate. So I told the person, I wouldn't go there. That's a lot of money to pay. I said, I'll do it for half or less than half. That's crazy, right? A lot of places it's minimal. And I know somebody just converted. How much did it cost them to use the mikvah? It's like, I don't know, $300, $350, something like that. They had to pay a processing fee at the beginning, and I don't think I think it costs less than $1,000, at least in one place. Other places it might cost a little bit more, but a person has to realize in this case, you're paying for their time, not just for the facilities and the upkeep and all that. You're paying for their time. People think mistakenly, I'm not saying everybody, but there are people out there that think that, we have nothing better to do. We're going to help everyone for free. Well, nobody does that. Anyone takes an online course, you're going to pay. However much you're going to pay, it doesn't matter. You get something out of it. You didn't get something out of it. They're going to charge. Some waive the fees. Right? Someone asked me this, like, will they waive all the fees? I don't know. Maybe they'll waive some of it. They may waive a lot of it. Could be. Could be they won't charge. Some charge more, some charge less. $10,000 is, I've never heard. I've heard of one place. One place that blew my mind charges that amount of money. Most places not even close to half that. Not even close to half that. I'm just saying to go to the mikvah, whatever. Conversion, listen, you might have to take classes. That might cost. That for sure may cost. Depends how long a person takes classes for and all that, but yeah. Could that cost a couple $1,000s? Yeah. Could it cost more? Potentially. Right? But if a person's getting proper instruction, okay. It's like any other course the person would take. Took a college course, you're not going to haggle on it. Say, yeah, but I didn't take it for 2 years. Okay. Right? If a person gets enough classes, fine. A person has to brush up on different things. Someone wants to do it for free, okay. People are going to charge. Someone wants, do well in their SATs. How much do they charge? How much does a tutor charge? $35, $40 an hour. An hour. You take a whole bunch of lessons. What are you going to haggle? I mean, you could. Jews are good at that. You can haggle on the price. Right? But again, they have a right to charge. They absolutely have a right to charge upkeep. There are times where something. Again, it doesn't have to be extraordinary. Could it be $500? Yeah. Could it be $1,000? Yeah, in theory. I don't think it'll be much more than that. Could be. Yeah, I take a survey of all rabbinical courts, what they do. I know here in Israel, someone converted. They asked them to pay $350, give or take. They didn't have it. Said whatever you can give. They gave whatever they gave, but that was it. They can say, oh no, sorry, can't convert. It's insanity. Total insanity. Well, people have to realize people's time is worth something. You wouldn't, I've spoken about this a number of times. And the idea is that you're paying for what you're getting. Don't get it for free. Someone wants to do it for free, okay. But it's a whole different thing. You wouldn't make any claims on anything else except this. Except this. So one day in the Mission Pirkei Avos is going to get to where commentaries say, see, Moses, did it for free. Yeah, God made a bridge in the desert. God took care of all his needs. Right? And no one's getting off scot-free. I'm not saying people should be turned away because of it. Someone can't afford it. Okay, I think they should be given class anyway. That's my policy. Someone can't afford it, I won't charge them. If they can pay something good. Right? Say, okay, that's fair. But at the end of the day, people would claim what you do is extortion. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding. Someone making $15 an hour, that's extortion? I put a lot more time speaking to people, dealing with people. $15 is extortion. Do me a favor. That's a joke. You think that, you're in the wrong. Yeah. It's crazy. It's a crazy idea. You want to tell me, $100 an hour can charge that easily. Just based, if someone, if Stephen Hawking was alive today, Stephen Hawking, he's a physicist. Yeah. You want to take private lessons, but how much do you think it's going to cost? You think he's going to charge $20 an hour? I don't think he's going to charge $20 an hour. He might charge $5,000 an hour for his knowledge and what he knows. And there are people out there in marketing, my wife's, does digital marketing. They have people, experts of experts that charge tens of thousands of dollars, for their knowledge and picking their brain and what they're experts in. If someone's going to complain, $20 an hour, $15 an hour, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I should have been a dog psychologist. I would have done a lot better. A lot better. But, I've heard people say it. So again, I don't think people should be turned away because they don't have money. I agree. It's a choice between me and electric bill. I know who's getting paid first. I get it. 100%. But, there are places that charge, $50 an hour. And you have to take at least, an hour or two a week. So you say, okay, so fine, it's only $200 a month or more, whatever. Okay. Right? You're not getting off scot-free. In general. That's what I would say. People say it's the cost of moving, right? There's a lot of things. Right? Someone mentions $1,000 Chicago Council. Okay. I'm not denying that. Someone says most cheaper than Tony Robbins seminar course. 100%. 100%. It's a joke. I could be making his money, but okay. That's that's it. Someone mentioned some rabbis charge for courses before converting. Yeah, things. It's not going to be exorbitant. If it's exorbitant, then yeah, it's a problem. I heard people tell me, someone wants to do this, it's going to cost me $5,000. That's crazy. That's crazy. 5-month course, 4-month course, 6-month course, whatever. It's nuts. Couple $100 a month, maybe a little bit more. That's reasonable. Reasonable. I mean, people could charge a lot more. What I do is just not just about giving classes. It's mentoring. It's giving advice. It's other things. Even if I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do that. What? Person doesn't think $30 is worth my time? No one would do it. Someone there mentions very good. One day conversion 7-day dormitory will be open. Yes, that's what we're trying to do. That's why I go up north every week. I'm trying to build something up there. That's the goal. That's the goal. To have a learning center, proper place for people to convert, be legal according to the chief rabbinate here, even if I don't like them, whatever. Yeah, that's the goal. But it takes 3 things: kesef, gelt, and money. Kesef means money in Hebrew, gelt in Yiddish, and money, is money. So, I just need one. But that's my ultimate goal, is to do that, have a nurturing community, which, I already have, up there. So whatever. Yeah. That's the plan. Anyone wants to majorly fundraise for that, be more than happy, more than happy. It's needed. 100%, it's needed. And I get people tell me all the time, I want to come to Israel. It's very hard to do anything there. Very hard to convert here. But if you had something like that, it's recognized, and that's a whole different thing. Right? It's a whole different thing. What about Hatafas Dam bris? I think that's minimal. Hatafas Dam means you already had circumcision, just draw blood. Yeah, that doesn't cost. That's minimal. That's minimal if they charge at all. I mean, you probably give a token donation. It doesn't cost very much, at all. Any other questions? What are we going to be doing in the world to come? Depends we ask. Depends according to what commentary. Things we'll be doing God's will, learning His Torah at whatever level our soul is at. Rambam says not going to be any difference between this world and that world. Still be doing the same things. The only difference is nobody will sin, right? We'll all be doing God's will. So, we'll be basking in God's glory, whatever, that means, being filled with Torah mitzvahs without, if you don't go according to the Rambam, you don't eat, you don't drink, you're more or less like a pure soul, just in some type of body, which we don't understand. Don't Jews also pay to use the mikvah? I think so. Yeah, I definitely think they do. So someone asked, so you come there to you, convert, and have a community to be a part of. How can you help? Raise money. It takes a lot of money. I want to bring families up there. That's where the most money goes. Families out there to help teach, to do outreach. I want to talk about further, set up a time to speak, but that's the goal. So I'm going to take a small amount of money because, you're moving people up there. They need an infrastructure up there. They need schools up there, as well. That's, that'd be part of it. But, to get, first of all, you need families to go up there. And it's far. It's 2.5 hours outside of Jerusalem. So, if you don't have money, then what are they going to do? They have to move back, this and that. You have to pay them more because not a lot of jobs out there. I mean, there's the whole goal. There's the whole goal to make an outreach center, have, no hides come, see the country, put money in the community. I mean, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of very good ideas. We're just missing the green. Right? As my father, blessed memory, would say, show me the green. That's what we need. That's what we need. It's a great idea. It's definitely, a great idea. Once you get people up there and they can start people coming and whatever, it can be a total infusion to the community, which is good. I mean, there are other obstacles there, but that's what's needed. You want to set up a meeting? Great. I'll send you an email. We can set up a meeting about it. Any other, someone has to have a place fully immersed yourself. Yeah. because the place up there in Yavneel, which is right near Tiberias, is the place where there are a lot of converts up there. A lot of converts, a lot of Baalei Tshuva out there, be a great nurturing community. Plus, I mean, it's a beautiful place to live. Also, it's very close to Sea of Galilee. You get to see you're 10 minutes outside of the grave of the Rambam, the Ramchal, Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. You got, like I said, you got the Sea of Galilee up there. They're close to Meron. You're close to Tzfas. I mean, whatever. It's a lot of, there's a lot of benefits. But again, it's whatever. It's like I always say. I tell people, listen, if I had the money, I'd be ready. I got everything in place. That I would need. So it just takes money. That's all it does. If a person can't afford to fill it, I'll tell you a story. Students of mine that converted, they were on the West Coast or whatever, somewhere in the West Coast. They converted in Lakewood, New Jersey. They had to make a couple of trips there. They finally converted. Based on where they were, wasn't so good. So I sent them to New Jersey. And they didn't have money for tefillin, and the community raised money for them. Like in a split second, people donated, they bought tefillin, and so a person doesn't have, a guarantee. I shouldn't say guarantee, but pretty sure that the community is going to help, someone buy tefillin. Someone said if you had a vision, a website, and a fund, it'll happen. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story why it's not so simple. And that is because anyone in this problem, one thing someone commented on a while ago on one of my posts was, there needs to be set up a fund to help converts to Judaism, potential converts, and help them. Because a lot of things they have difficulty with is financial, right? To move, move to a community and livelihood, and all that. So the idea is that Orthodox Jews do not want to fund such a thing. Because why should we fund things for non-Jews when we have many other things to fund for Jews? Makes sense. But they deserve to be helped. They deserve to be helped. The problem is unless you get someone, someone's a convert that has a lot of money or a lot of contacts or different things, so then that's a different issue. Or about tshuva, who likes the idea, etc. But ultra Orthodox Jews, there are plenty of Jewish causes, myriad of Jewish causes that come well before this. I'm not saying it's right necessarily, but it comes before this. So therefore, to try and raise money for it, good luck. It's just it's just not going to happen. They're just, it's just not going to happen unless someone really believes in the cause. Right? Someone says, well, I don't have a website, a fund. Again, because I know, I've been around long enough, been doing this long enough. It's very hard. It's very hard to raise money for something like this unless you get people who really believe in the cause. Right? So you say you put up something anyway, and so whatever, let money accumulate, and then, okay, you could do that. It's going to take a long time. Right? And, unless someone's got serious money to really jumpstart it, but it's not just that. You need the money to keep coming in. To build something like this, it's like, it's almost like building a yeshiva. Yeshiva has so many expenses. There's so many expenses, almost like a bottomless pit. You always need money coming in and coming in. So you would need a significant amount of money to make sure, if money starts to run out, I don't have to fly all over the world try and raise it. It's not what I'm necessarily interested in doing. I would do it, if I had contacts and, people willing to help and, different things. That's what I would say. There are people who know the plan. I'm not saying not. I've made it like, a worldwide thing, per se. And the only reason I haven't is because it's just people aren't going to donate to it like they need to. You need someone to really jumpstart it. It's not nickels and dimes type of thing. You'll say, come on, people put in $18, put $100, but then, over time. Yeah, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. That's why I haven't, there are people who know about it. I do have, people, working on different things. Okay. Someone set up a committee and work, speak about it. Speak about it. Someone says you have land, dormitories. Okay. Families to come up is one thing. So yeah, there's an issue with land. There is an issue with land up there, but it doesn't matter because I don't have money. If I had money, I looked into it a couple of years ago, potentially where to do things, how much land is, and this and that. There are places I could set up a door. There are places where you could have like an outreach center, to do. That doesn't cost a lot. That doesn't cost a lot to do, right? Even if you don't buy it and you rent it, that doesn't cost a lot. It's the other things that cost more. So that's what I would say. Yeah, let me see any other questions. If we make it to the next world, our status changes like the way as far as new identity. If we make it, it's gonna be a whole different world. We don't imagine what it is. We can't imagine what it is. It's a world we don't eat, we don't sleep. It's a whole different thing. Like my Rebbe would say, I never met anyone in that world come back, and come back here. So we don't, it's going to be a different existence than we know. That much I can say. That's it. I can't say much more than that. Someone asked even Noahites. No, there are no Noahites there. I was talking about people coming to visit. People taking trips. There are these Tanakh Talk trips. That they do that Ross Nichols and Jonah Vandor, anyone knows who they are. They do trips like 2-3 times a year. They come all over Israel. They go to, where do they go? They go to what do you call it? Jordan. So I'm talking about something like that. Have that be the base. Let's say people stay up there. Then go all over the country. Go over the country, bringing people to, tour guides, different things. Make it beneficial for them. Have them come learn. Bring money into the community. You're not setting up a Noahide community. We're not interested in setting up a Noahide community. There's a problem with non-Jews coming here to live in general. But without going into all that, I'm saying bringing people to come, to see the land, learn, help out the community, have somebody interested in doing it, sort of, falling through the cracks a lot, in the last year for different reasons. But okay, if God wants it to happen, the right people come in contact with. Can we get dual citizenship if we don't lose our pension? Yes. Getting dual citizenship, not a problem. And there are people that, if they convert, they get, if they have a pension, they can get it sent, they can get it sent here. That's worked out already. That shouldn't be a problem. Or even if they have a bank account still in the States, they can get it sent there and just, write checks on it, take it out of there. Take it off credit card or whatever. But I do think it's been worked out where they can actually get the money here. Someone says, can we convert? The converting is a whole different issue. Converting here is a whole, I have to do other groundwork to do that. I have to go to the chief rabbinate, I have to meet with them and this and that, in order to do it. There are programs. There's a new program started by the Rabbinical Council of America that they have conversion program here and some other groups, but I'm going to tell you straight out, they're not worth very much. They're just not. And that's why, I've seen and I've heard that, they are problematic in a lot of ways. So therefore, person could do it that way. I'm not going to say not, right? I wouldn't. There's a women's school. I'm just going to throw this out. There's more holistic stuff and that type of stuff. And there are people, that have gone there and they claim, and they have letters from, top people saying that they're recognized by the chief rabbinate. But, I got the inside story, and basically, they'll work with people, they'll come there, they'll learn there. They have their own rabbinical court, which is problematic because not recognized. And then after they convert to their rabbinical court, they go to the chief rabbinate. Now, when they go to the chief rabbinate, is that a guarantee the chief rabbinate gives a stamp of approval? No, it's not a guarantee. Not a guarantee. So that's misleading. I had somebody who went there. I said, okay. They said they still backed by the chief rabbinate. Yeah, but I know the inside story. They may be backed by the chief rabbinate and have all these letters. Very nice, right? But that doesn't guarantee someone who converts to their rabbinical court, whatever it is going to get stamped by the chief rabbinate automatic. That is not the case. That I can tell you 100% that's not the case. Totally not the case. Right? So whatever anyone tells you otherwise, speak to me first. That's not the case. So I told somebody, you want to go there? Okay. That's your choice, but you're playing Russian roulette. So now I have an opportunity. I can go and this and that. And I said, okay, but that's not a guarantee they're going to be accepted by the chief rabbinate. Now, if you have a rabbinical court that's not recognized by anybody, then you're in trouble. You want it most recognized as much as possible. So going through them, you're taking a chance, a major chance that it's not going to get recognized. And if it's not going to get recognized by the chief rabbinate, I'm not saying chief rabbinate any great shakes either, but if it doesn't get recognized by chief rabbinate, then what? Then you're toast. Right? Someone says, can you do a conservative conversion even if you don't agree with them? Okay. A different issue. I'm not going to say it's okay. I had a discussion with someone the other day. They might want to do that. I'm not sanctioning. If someone wants to do it, isn't it easier to come to Israel if they do it? Yes. 100%. 100%. I'll quote my Rebbe on this. He says there are worse transgressions to transgress than that. So I said, oh, it's permissible? He said, no. I said, I didn't say it's permissible. He says, don't say that in my name. So I'm not going to say it in his name. He says permissible. I'm not going to say it's permissible. If a person does it, okay. Is it quicker to do it that way than come to Israel? Yes, 100%. It's a lot quicker. I can't sanction it. It's forbidden. It's forbidden to listen to these people. I'm not saying it's not easy. It's much easier. Can a converting mother keep it on a widow's son? Yes, 100%. They are definitely allowed to. So something you're not talking about a seminary for conversion. I'm talking about a place for men and women to come. I'm not saying necessarily living in the same building, but for men and women to come, or families even. There is an issue with land up there. That's the problem. Even to rent places is a problem. In different ways. I spoke to people there, but whatever. If it came to the point where, I have a chunk of money, then it's a whole different thing. Then I'm going to go up there and see. I'm going to see what's available, what we can do. Speak to people on the ground. I know people have been up there for 20 years, 15, 20 years. To make it happen. Well, you have to, work through the system there. But work for Prague style farming. Yeah, they have them, and there are actually. Chief Rabbinate has a few places where people can go there on certain kibbutzim and convert. Problem is, again, even what they're being taught is a problem. A rabbi here in Jerusalem told me, and he works for the Chief Rabbinate for doing divorces. He told me 1 in 1,000 are good. 1 in 1,000 of those conversions on kibbutzim, even if they're under the auspices of the Chief Rabbinate, are good. First, I asked him, how are they? He said, Hashem Yerachim, God should have compassion. Then I asked him again, he said the same thing. I said, so what percentage are good? He said 1 in 1,000. So again, that's why, I would set up something obviously more proper, much more proper. Teach people properly. They have contact with families that have been through it, and a whole different thing, a whole nurturing process. Someone said, I heard someone converting Orthodox not through the international base but a local recognized court. Again, if it's a proper rabbinical court, it doesn't necessarily mean, if it's not recognized by chief rabbinate, it doesn't necessarily mean it's no good. There are the rabbinical courts recognized by chief rabbinate, not worth anything. And those that are not recognized that are worth something. So, a lot of it has to do with politics. Bottom line, a person wants to go to a rabbinical court that's recognized by the most amount of people if possible. So you don't have problems in the future. Would you be able to come to that community if you had that? If you had a conservative conversion? Yeah, probably. I don't think that would be necessarily an issue. That wouldn't be an issue. But again, I wouldn't tell people to do it. So you heard it right here. I'm not telling people to do it. No, you do it. It's your choice. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. This is every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Usually 5 o'clock Israel time, but we haven't changed the clocks yet till tonight. So starting tomorrow, anyone outside of Israel, going to go back to normal times, etc. So, at least until the fall, whenever the clocks change. Otherwise, I'm going to sign out. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook. I'm Chaim Kaufman. Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism, or my YouTube channel, Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism. Videos there on ethics of fathers, Torah portion of the week, Q&As, Tanakh talk, controversial issues. Otherwise, you can send me an email, chaimkoffman@gmail.com, RBBIChaimCoffman@gmail.com. Wish everyone a good